All right, welcome to the second game of the evening, the Impressions vid, Stellar Warfare. Right. So, Stellar Warfare is get my notes here, a space RTS with base building and ship customization, personal passion project. Okay. More than 200 available ships, weapons, and modules to design your fleet with. Contains a small campaign, several single and multiplayer game modes, and a co op game mode. Also contains wave defense. Mm. It's a very to the point marketing blurb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right. So this game was designed to petty for impressions. So let us find out. Was the warfare of this game truly stellar?
No. Cue the music. But yeah, no.
Uh,
This game is it definitely has a lot of stuff to I guess work out.
the impression I'm getting from the marketing materials here is like not mentioned, but between the lines, it's a solo dev project. So,
Mm-hmm.
which would explain a lot, I think.
But yeah, like my biggest issue looking at like this tutorial stuff here is it makes it sound like light weaponry is like light weapons and armor is almost worthless. Because like you can look here on screen, there are several types of weapon and armor in game. If you fire with a light weapon against a light target, it will deal full damage. If you fire with a light weapon against a medium target, it will deal less damage. If you fire with a light weapon versus heavier building, it will deal negligible damage. Apologies. And then it goes into the attack types of projectile weapons. They deal a lot of damage but are generally inaccurate. Missiles are homing but deal less damage and can be shot down with laser shields. And beam weapons always have the longest range but deal the least damage. So basically, like against a building, you'd pretty much bring a heavy ship with projectile weapons and good luck. And then there's a bunch of like resource management stuff where like, you know, your typical space, like well, RTS in general, build out around the base, generate resources, and destroy everything. They have a pretty, I don't want to say like extensive tutorial, like there's a lot of things going on here, but like after you get through all of these, it doesn't really give you any recommendations beyond that. Like you can also use like height and stuff like that.
Construction complete.
And like you can even like have cinematic shots if you want by just like alt click, which that's kind of cool. Like there are interesting things going on here. It's not something that's like without merit like some games. But it definitely needs some time to, you know, cook. And yeah, like all of these are just like your basic camera controls. Which there is a lot of ways to do movement.
Construction complete.
Z scroll click, yes. Yeah, some of these are just all around weird. I obviously couldn't get very far into this because, like, I've never been very good at these type of games. Oh. And also just, like, some of the stuff is laid out very weird. Like, all the stuff in here, it was under buildings except for the surveyor, which is in the ships. But they don't tell you where that is. And, like, you get the cinematic camera option, which, I mean, it's cool if you want a space-themed, like, basically a screensaver. But there's no, like, real use outside of that. Where am I? Oh. Yeah, sometimes when you come out of that cinematic mode, it just throws your camera off to the other side of the arena. Move that. And then basically, at least in the, like, regular mode, your objective is, as per usual, take over, destroy the enemy ship. So you will, you know, do the thing like you always do. Let's get some. A lot of these, it doesn't really do a good job of explaining what these are. Like, sometimes the tooltips don't show up. I don't know if it's because I'm in ultra wide or if they're not implemented well. But yeah, like, I still honestly have problems, like, figuring out what all this stuff does. And it's mostly because this tutorial isn't as much of a tutorial. It's just kind of, hey, here's the camera controls. Go build some ships and go blow up the other dude. Which, I mean, I don't have a problem with, you know, giving us a sandbox, but at the same time,
New ship constructed.
you know, the campaign doesn't do much better on that. Like, there's just a story going on, which is cool and all, but they don't really, like, usually in campaigns and, like, games like this, they kind of, like, go a little more in depth into how, like, various mechanics work. But they just kind of be like, point at dude, go destroy it, have fun. There's story significance here. Good luck. Yeah, basically, I'm getting my armada ready to go blow up the dude over on the other side of the map. Because, you know, the best strategy is always Zerg Rush. And then I can just send them over here, and they're on their way to go attack. And then they're just gonna go head out. They don't have any way to speed this up. So I literally have to wait for them to travel to the other side of the map before they can initiate combat. Which, I mean, for the tutorial, I can see why this could be kind of boring. Just because I would imagine in, like, regular gameplay, there would be more going on here. Let me see if I can build more stuff. Sometimes, like, if you're not, like, super close to your ship, sometimes it bugs out and doesn't let you build, even though you're staring right at your, like, main ship. There is kind of some height at play, because, you know, you're still in space. So, you know, you're unlike in other games where you're just kind of, you know, dealing with ground. You don't really have a whole lot of that here, so I can just kind of build anywhere as long as I'm in this little ring.
Ship under attack.
And then the fighting has begun.
Construction complete.
And then you're like, once your ships are in range of combat, they will immediately start dogfight maneuvers on their own. Like, you don't have to tell them to do anything. And then they will just start killing stuff. And then I can just basically sit here and get my next armada ready, just in case this one falls. And that's kind of just the gameplay loop. Like, I mean, it's kind of interesting to watch this go, but there's a lot of stuff you need to already put in for it to, you know, get going. Also, I haven't found a way to set a rally point well for when things spawn. So they just kind of get shot out and sent to random points in your little designated area. So I don't know if that's just something that the tutorial never really gave me, or if that's something that is yet to be implemented. But yeah, I can come over here and send in my second wave. And they may or may not be done by time the other group gets there. And, like, I can also, you know, do the usual where I can, like, take a couple of these guys and go attack this other little turret over here.
Ship under attack.
And then once they're done, they should auto-target the shipyard again, which is the opponent's base. And here comes the second fleet. They're about halfway through. There is one, like, interesting thing in the campaign where there is, like, a side mission where you can actually take control of one of the ships directly. Like, I've seen a video of it online because I couldn't get far enough in the game to actually do it. Also, you know, motion sickness. But it's one of those things, like, it's interesting to see what they do with that. I hope they can flesh that out more and maybe have a better tutorial.
Ship under attack.
But yeah, all in all, like, the game is, it's definitely a work in progress. I don't want to say it's bad because it's still in early access. They can fix these things, I hope. It's not like this is, like, you know, a 3-year-old game that the dev is not really supporting anymore. So hopefully, like, some of my nitpicks can be ironed out and stuff. And then, yeah, these ships should be able to take this thing out. And, like, I can just, rain hellfire on this dude over here, because why not? And, like, yeah, I could do the cinematic camera and kind of watch the base get blown up.
Ship under attack.
So I guess, what are we looking at price-wise, Adam?
Well, let's see. The going price currently is $20.
See, the problem is there are also a bunch of other better put to, like, more complete space-faring RTSs out there at that price point. So, if this was, like, just alone in the $20 price point, sure, why not?
Are victorious.
But we're also talking about games that are done, fully put together,
It's also
mm.
a key thing to remember with early access is,
Ship under attack.
is that the price forever, or is it going to go up? And in this case, yes. The price of the full game will be slightly higher than that of early access. The reason for that being those who wait until the full game will have the campaign access, more quality of life features, and will have a more polished product, which makes sense because it will have 1 to 2 years of extra development time in it.
See, I don't like how they just put slight, because if it's like 25, fine.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is going to be 30, 35, something
yeah.
like that.
Again, we don't really know on that, because we obviously have not interviewed the devs on this.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You never know when that. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. And,
But-
like,
Ship under attack.
if this is, like, again, it's an okay game. The problem is there are more competent games in this price bracket. So I guess if you're done with those and looking for something else, I guess give this a look. Like, it's not awfully broken, it just needs some fit and finish work. I'm personally not the biggest fan of it in the state it is now, but I also know that it might become something I might be interested in, but I can't say for sure, and I can't sell somebody on a promise a game will get better, because that's kind of disingenuous. Because we've had plenty of early access titles where the studio just kind of abandoned them. I'm not going to say that these devs will, because again, we don't know them. But, it can happen.
Right.
But yeah, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can go into on this. Like, there's even already mod support where you can just kind of create a mod in the game, which is kind of cool. The single player, there's a campaign, or you can do bot matches, or like wave survival, which kind of turned this into more of a
Arcadia Fair.
a what?
An Arcadia Fair.
Yeah,
from the sound
basically.
of it.
Which, I mean, that's cool. Multiplayer, it looks like it's just skirmish right now. But again, when as development continues, they could allow for more stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's all from me on here. Unless you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns.
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think you brought up everything I was going to ask.
All right, then. So that'll about do it for Stellar Warfare. Be sure to tune in after the break as the Galax reviews Nova Drift.